I started doing these challenges for a while just to sort of get people up and moving, and more and more people, it just sort of started spreading across a bigger group of people. So that sort of was the initial seed of things, and then it's grown into something even bigger and different from there.
It was definitely interesting because growing up in school, I have a feeling that a lot of people that I knew didn't really know where to put me.
Right.
Because I was the jock. I was in swimming, I was in tennis, I was in varsity. And I was in ROTC, and so I had that clique as well. But then I was also in marching band with the big plumes, and I always was wearing weird superhero dress belt buckles, and so nobody really knew what it was. And so when you're talking about Travis Willingham and Joe Manganiello coming on and wearing the Jocks Machina shirt, it was this amazing meeting of these what was considered two completely different hemispheres, where you either were this or you were this. And that's kind of where the show has come out, where it's like we're not either or.
Yeah.
We all have a passion about something. And so being able to see the Jocks Machina and getting back into fit and seeing the response with D&D Fitness it was so cool. And it really helps to have that community. And it also helps to have that kind of fun to it. Because for some people, probably for a lot of people, working out isn't necessarily fun.
Right.
It could be very boring, especially if you're doing it by yourself. And just to call back, just to let people know, Magic Missile, first level spell, is how many D4s?
So it is 3d4, yes?
3d4.
3d4 plus 1.
3d4 plus 1. So if you're wanting to do Magic Missile push-ups, it's 3 4-sided dice, add 1.
There you go.
But do what you can, and pray you roll at once.
There you go. Yeah, it's when you want to roll low, or maybe you might want to roll high. It's interesting you say that though. One of my big messages with D&D Fitness is, it's never too late. I never worked out ever until I was about 32, 33. Was very skinny, was the nerd in school, was, sort of never really had a social group, was, if I could get away with, walking the fence at PE instead of playing the other stuff, that was me, or being in South Georgia at the time, we could work on our homework. If it was a really hot day, we were able to do that during PE, and that was me. The way I sort of fell into fitness was when I was doing some work over in Japan, and this is back. So people might not be able to relate to this, but it was back in '99. I had a work laptop which I could not use on the internet because the internet bad.
6 hours.
It was not anything that you were able to use other than for work, like in conference room meetings, things like that. And in this hotel I was staying at in Japan, even though it was a big chain hotel, had all the stations in Japanese except CNN International on a 30-minute loop. However, because of its location, they had the equivalent of a Gold's Gym that was attached to the hotel, because it was similar to some of the hotels that you see in big cities that are kind of a part of a mall system or whatever. And it was free with the room level that my company had gotten me to be able to use the gym. And so I literally had nothing better to do. I was bored to tears. You can only watch CNN on loop. You can only read so many books after a while.
Right.
And I was alone over there, and it was just sort of and there was always this sort of in the back of my mind there where I wanted to be more fit and wanted to feel better about myself. And went down there, and luckily the Japanese diet is very conductive. To think. I mean, I basically was eating fish and rice and wonderful things all day long on a very regimented schedule. And I mean, I gained basically 20 pounds of lean mass over the course of 18 months of working in Japan. I mean, I had people who didn't even came back, didn't know who I was. I went over there sort of geek with geek gut, a little extra weight right around the middle, nowhere else, to coming back pretty fit. And people are like, what happened? But that was at 30. So my whole thing is, don't think, oh, I missed it. If I wasn't athletic in high school or whatever, it's too late. I mean, I'm 47 now. We just did a thing of the through the decades on Twitter, and the pictures that people are like, wow, they're from my 40s. My 20s, are not great fitness shots. Even in the 30s, it was not, I was just kind of discovering things. So don't think it's passed you by.
Right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Variant Roles. I am your host and game master, Dan Gaston at MadSciDM on Twitter. I use he, him pronouns, and I am excited to be here with episode 2 of Project VHS. Welcome to our little occult sci-fi horror game set on the edge of the solar system in the year 2082. And I am just going to kick it around and let my wonderful players introduce themselves and remind us who they are playing, what their character sentence is, and maybe a little bit about their character. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to go clockwise tonight on my overlay and start with Taryn.
Sorry, I'm distracted by my web captioner deciding that it needed to recap what you were saying.
Right.
Yeah. I'm Taryn. You said introduce ourselves and character sentence, correct?
That's right.
Yep. You can find me on Twitter at TarzanNozy, and I am playing Marcus Hatsey, a tongue-tied warrior who needs no weapon. So.
Perfect. All right, and continuing down to Maria.
Hello, I am Maria. I use she, they pronouns. I'm at Happy Capster on Twitter. I am playing Eva Delgado, who uses she, her pronouns, who is an inquisitive explorer who would rather be reading.
Excellent. And continuing down to Quinn.
Yes, hello. Quintastic _ on the Twitterverse. I use she, her pronouns. I tonight will be playing Dr. Meztli Flores, a perceptive speaker who calculates the incalculable, everyone's favorite psychiatrist and medtech.
Perfect. And continuing around, we have Emma.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emma. You can find me at MK Hansen on Twitter. I use she, her pronouns. And tonight I am Billy Lawless, the mystical adept who explores dark places. And she also uses she, her pronouns.
Excellent. All right. And we have Val.
Hi everybody, I'm Val. I'm the Nerdy Niffler on Twitter. Sometimes I go by the Nerdy Niffle on Twitter when I'm under disguise. I love you so much, Anders. I use she, her pronouns. And tonight I am playing Natasha Longshot Kane, a mysterious explorer who bears a halo of fire. I can do words. And she also uses she, her pronouns.
Perfect. All right. And Anders.
Hi everyone, I'm Anders. You can find me at Anders_D_K on the Twitters. I use he, him pronouns, and tonight I will be playing Takashi Hano, aka Glitch, who also uses he, him pronouns and is a weird adept who rides the lightning.
Perfect. All right. And Emma is going to provide the last week on Project VHS.
So last week, on Project VHS, we found ourselves awoken unexpectedly from our hypersleep as we made our way to the edge of the solar system. Frank, our sentient AI sort of assistant in the ship, the UNS Erebus?
Yes. Yeah,
Erebus.
one of those two.
Okay. Informed us that we had two sort of hitchhikers on our ship that were on the exterior, these two sort of rock-like things. So we took our time investigating that. Some of us on the inside, some of us on the exterior. We had Marcus and Kane on the exterior, and we had Ava and Glitch, Billy, and Dr. Is it Meztli? Meztli on the interior. Eventually, Ava and Billy discovered some sort of tentacle-like things growing on the inside of the reactor room. Billy, of course, decided to allow one of them to touch her, which sort of launched the ship into a decontamination event. And Ava and Billy have been in decontamination rooms being observed pretty closely, and we discovered that what we had taken samples from the exterior. Turns out there are nanites that are in there that are constantly deconstructing and then reconstructing themselves. And then they blew them off the side of the ship. And we saw two little squiggly things, I believe, go away from them. And upon a body scan of Billy, she also has these nanites in her. And and we left off in the decontamination sort of rooms. Kane and Marcus are concerned about what is happening. Glitch wants to investigate the nanites, and Metzley seems to be interested in everyone.
That about sums it up. In the interim, out of game, we've had some side scenes between our characters, figuring out what they do basically over the next 2 weeks until they make their final approach to the object and arrive at their destination. And so we'll feed that information in, I think, organically through play, as we'll pick up after that 2 weeks has passed and our doctors are out of quarantine and ready to begin exploring their destination. But first, we have an opener. All right, welcome back everyone to Project VHS. So, we pick up as the UNS Erebus is slowing and inserting itself into orbit around this object in the Oort cloud. You've had 2 weeks on approach, on your burn approach, so you've had at least a little bit of essentially artificial thrust gravity provided by that constant burn. But now Frank has given the instructions to secure the ship because, of course, the insertion is going to put you into 0G. So assuming everyone battens down the hatches, secures all their belongings and everything, the ship is going to go into 0G maneuvers and insert itself in orbit. And then the central hub and the spokes and sort of radial arm structures that have been tied down, reversed on the ship, swing out and begin to rotate to provide artificial spin gravity in at least some sections of the ship. So you'll have this kind of artificial gravity in the central command hub and in med lab, and there's like some storage and crew quarters that are essentially orbiting around, spinning around the central flywheel. But engineering The spine, the long section that runs between engineering and the central hub, and there's a small sort of section at the very front of the ship as well that has some technical gear in it. Those places will be under zero gravity the whole time. But you've trained for this. You've done training in space. You're all good. You're used to low gravity and zero gravity environments. So the object that you have been approaching, you've been doing scans on the way in, starting even before, and then more intensive over these last 2 weeks. It's a roughly spherical object. It's a little bit ovoid, so almost a little bit egg-shaped, but just slightly. And its exterior appears to be utterly smooth, with one exception. There's no impact craters on the outside of this object at all. It does not appear to be a natural object. It has a very high density, and the surface appears to be made out of a strange amalgam of metallic elements. And if the readings are correct, while the exterior is quite thick and heavy, and all of this metal is very, very dense, the object appears to be hollow. Although with some sort of internal structure, there's echoes that, perhaps there are, lattice work on the interior. But it's not a planet. It's not a planetoid. It's not an asteroid. It is something undeniably built with an intelligence behind it. And this one exception to this utterly smooth exterior surface is on what for lack of a better word, we will call the southern pole. Orientation here doesn't really matter, but it's in the same general orientation relative to the plane of the ecliptic as Earth's south pole, and it's the fatter end of this almost egg-like structure. Has some sort of small, it only shows up on the most detailed scans, some sort of small protrusion, almost like a mountainous structure, but smaller. Some kind of building or construct. But at the finest level that you can get from within orbit, that's pretty much the level of detail that you get. Is it's something roughly, let's say, like the size of like a very large, skyscraper or like convention center, sort of thing. It's relatively big, but it's not huge. And after providing the information, so Frank, basically all this information comes up with like mapping data, and you have access to all of these logs in the central hub. Frank just turns it over to you to decide what your plan of approach is going to be. There's been no signals detected from the object the whole way in, since that signal 5 years ago that sort of triggered this expedition. It's been radio silent, and they've been sending some brief signals to try and initiate a sort of first contact handshake, and nothing. Dead silent. Well, crew, what would you like to do?
Eva's fixated on that structure. She has zeroed in on it, and as best she can, probably asking Glitch for help because she doesn't do a lot of computers. Get as best as she can some kind of a reading or something to get a closer look at the exterior of the structure to see if there's any signs of what might be in the structure, any sort of like symbols or writing or anything that could be on it.
Frank, can you keep us in orbit, but just move us down so we're, as close to that protrusion as possible, if you could.
I can move us a bit lower. We're detecting some electromagnetic radiation from the object, so I would not want to get us too close in case there's a danger, but I can certainly put us in the lowest safe orbit easily enough.
Kind of sort of lined up with that weird.
Okay. So yeah,
thing.
so Frank will do the maneuvers and sort of put you in a geosynchronous orbit over that structure at the lowest possible altitude. It's the kind of thing, it takes time to, change the relative position in orbit. So it's probably like a few hours to do those maneuvers. But eventually you are in geosync above it. And you get a little bit more resolution. It's a object, the structure is a couple 100 meters tall, and it is shaped quite regularly. It's not square. It has a strange, almost like a cylindrical structure to it, but it appears to have these concentric, like nested structure to it. Almost like if you looked at it from the top, there's some hollow points. It would kind of look like the outline of like a maze. Like if you drew a circular maze and then stretch that up into a column, it would have that sort of structure to it. So it's very unusual.
Are there any discernible symbols anywhere on the structure besides like the interior looking like a weird maze?
Yeah. Not that you can detect from orbit. You do have high resolution cameras, and of course, satellites can, practically read money. But you don't necessarily have that. Frank would recommend you could send down survey probes or something of some sort and to get a closer look.
So I actually have just a question about where we are oriented in the ship currently. Are Ava
Yep.
and I still in decontamination? Do we know
No.
that we are approaching? Like, did we? That's what I'm sort of wondering.
Yeah, I think based on how we had played that out in the side scenes, within the last day or so, you would have been released out of quarantine. Yeah, because you were safe, and so you've had access to all of this data as you approach.
So I know that I'm not the scientist of the group, but it might be wise, if this appears to be sentient, that we don't immediately send things down after it. I mean, when people's hands come at me, it feels quite uncomfortable. I don't know about the rest of you. We might want to just sit here, see if anything happens. Not for long, but it might be something to consider.
Maybe we should try some kind of communication. I know back home they tried, but didn't get anything, but they weren't exactly this close.
Are you suggesting the like 90% 10% thing that you do with like people, where like you go 90% of the way and then you let them do the other 10%? So we came 90% of the way to the egg, and now the egg has to do its 10%. Is that what you're suggesting?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
That's very astute of you, Glitch.
Yeah, we're gonna make out with the egg. Very astute. I guess we could send it a message.
In agreement with the three doctors. I think sending a message before we go try and touch, or as Glitch put, make out with the egg wouldn't be such a bad idea.
So how do we want to like communicate with the potentially ancient / alien egg? Do we
Well.
just say hello in a million different languages?
That even is if it understands language. Maybe it speaks in light or smell.
Or images?
Images.
We could send images.
You could kind of maybe focus on that weird thing there on the surface, and now that we have an exact place to send it, maybe we'll have better luck.
The only thing in my brain right now, which is play eval, is new ship, who dis?
Nope. No.
We're not sending the ancient alien egg, new ship, who dis?
We're not sliding into their DMs.
Not
Well,
yet.
But
see how this goes.
yeah, Marcus is just gonna kind of clear his throat. I've heard numbers work pretty well for first contact. Maybe try some math.
Send it an algebra problem.
Maybe
We could
something
even
like
start
binary?
basic. Yeah. Yeah, we
Or
should definitely have a
hexadecimal?
first contact protocol.
Frank, that the electromagnetic radiation that we're detecting, is that going to prevent us from getting a message through?
No, it doesn't seem to be of that intensity yet.
Frank, what is that electromagnetic radiation?
Frank just sort of returns its fairly high frequency, so he doesn't know exactly what it is necessarily used for. He basically give you like a spectrum output plot, but says it doesn't appear to be carrying any sort of signal or communication that he knows of.
So, Frank, why don't we initiate our protocols for this?
Sure. Frank, to not repeat myself, Frank goes, I did just brief you that we had been sending our standard protocols with no response. So,
right.
So he says we can try again, and sort of initiates it, and sort of it cycles through the standard protocols that had been constructed, but there's still no answer.
I think this means then, Frank, we need to do some non-standard protocols.
I agree, Dr. Delgado. I believe that is your area of expertise.
Yeah. Okay. I want to, thinking back on my own personal research, and also I want to access one of the computers that I can, that I assume would have a lot of my past research stored on it.
Absolutely.
And I want to see if there's any sort of historical structures that look similar, not historical, but like ancient structures and ancient technologies that look anywhere, even just the briefest similarities between what we're seeing here and something that possibly existed on Earth or Mars.
Sure. All right, so let's go. We'll do a roll for this. So like you doing an investigation based on your research and seeing if there's any comparisons. So I'll say this is a level 5 difficulty.
Okay.
So let's see. You absolutely can apply your skill here in like Martian archaeology.
Yes.
So you can apply that. I forget, you're specialized, right? Or you should be specialized in that. If it's marked as trained, you can up it to specialized.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be 2. So that'll bring it down to a 3 in terms of the difficulty.
I also do have knowledge skills, specifically history and ancient languages.
Yeah, so let's go with history might also apply here because you're cross-referencing to like Earth and Martian, so that would reduce
Yeah.
it to a 2. And you can spend from your intellect pool a level of effort if you wish.
Yes.
All right. So that brings it down to a 1. So you only have to roll a 3 or higher.
Oh, is that all? Okay.
That's all.
Okay, so just making sure when spending from the pool, I have 1 edge in intellect, which means I
Yeah.
only
Spend 2 points instead of 3.
2. Okay. Got it. All right. I rolled a 1.
Excellent. All right. Interesting. So, because a 1 generates an intrusion, and it's an intrusion on a knowledge check, which is kind of interesting. So I'm just gonna put that intrusion in my back pocket to deploy here on exactly what it means, but you don't find anything similar. You don't find anything that appears to match up.
Okay. After a couple of minutes, she definitely, under her breath, starts cursing a storm in Spanish. And then will kind of frustratedly close out of everything and then just like slump back. Well, I think we should definitely start with numbers, as that's more of a universal language. We could also do music, although I don't know if they do music.
While I'm likely not as versed as Glitch, I am rather trained in mathematics myself. If I can be of any assistance.
You know, binary is my first language, but you're a better talker than me, so.
Well.
We can come up with something to say. If you can translate it for us, Glitch, that would be fantastic. And I kind of look over at, please tell me how to say your name one more time. I will get it, I promise. Quinn.
Meztli.
Meztli. Okay. I look over and I say, Doctor, would you care to assist me?
Absolutely.
All right. And then I want to work with her to come up with a very neutral, airing on the positive general message of we mean no harm and also wish to speak with whomever is here, that sort of thing.
Okay. And so you're trying to encode that into mathematics.
Correct.
Okay. So encoding it as it is probably going to be like a very difficult thing to come up with a way to directly translate that. So that's probably going to be super difficult, like a level 10 challenge. But trying to encode something that's just like a gist of like, hey, we're obviously intelligent creatures here, because this signal is not natural, and like please respond sort of thing is probably a lot easier. Like a level 3 challenge.
Oh.
Yeah. Because there's like things like Fibonacci sequences and like rotating through a bunch of stuff and like demonstrating, and you might want to put in, I don't know, like some equation that from general or special relativity, or like that kind of thing. So that's a lot easier.
Yeah, so I imagine if we go that way, if it is me and Dr. Delgado, maybe Dr. Delgado can make the words, and I help with the numbers using my higher mathematics skills, and then give it to Glitch.
Sure, that sounds great. Perfect. All right, so why don't we have we'll have Mestly roll that, so it'll be a level 3. You can apply your skill, so you're trained in higher math. Okay, so that will reduce it to a 1. We'll
Cool.
treat Eva's like assistance as an asset, so that reduces it to a 1. So if you spend intellect, you won't have to roll at all, or you can just roll as it is now, and a 3 or higher is a success.
Let's roll. Hopefully I have better luck this time. That is 16.
Okay, so you encode that message, you hand it off to Glitch. Glitch, I'm going to say that the challenge is low enough that with your skills, like entering this in the computer system and like blasting it out targeted, you're not going to need to roll. Your skills will reduce that to a 0.
Can we also assume our ship has like lights or something out on the surface that could like sort of pulse out the same sort of binary code but in like a visual format?
That's a really good idea. So yeah, you've got like laser systems and all kinds of other stuff that you could light up, and encoding that is a little bit more of a challenge. But let's see where you get with your skills. So if I say that's a level 3, the same as a level 3, you've got what skills do you have? Basically, you've got your computer stuff, right?
Yeah, I've got ship engineering, which was kind of what we put down for ship stuff.
Yeah, perfect. So that sounds good. And you're trained or specialized? I forget.
Specialized.
Okay, so that will reduce it from a 3 to a 1.
Cool.
And if you spend intellect, then you won't need to roll. Otherwise, like if you spend a level of effort from intellect, then you won't need to roll. Otherwise, if you roll, you just need a 3 or higher to succeed.
I will roll. I like those odds.
Okay.
That's a 6. So
okay.
We did it. But
you encode the light show on the ship and send the message. And so it loops through, and it's, just repeating the sequence over and over and over again. And eventually you see from the top of the structure that lights begin blinking that you can see on your sensor all along that sort of labyrinth kind of style path. And when you analyze them, it's like it's repeating the exact same pattern back to you.
Doctors. It is talking to us, or at least mimicry, I guess, which is a form of communication. Say something else. Let's tell it something else. Let's see what it does.
Okay.
I feel like we're all trained for this, but also rather taken aback.
Yes.
We're all, oh, that was rather quick.
I will tell Glitch. Introduce me. Tell them my name.
Okay. I will send them the name and just the name, I guess. See what it does. The Morse code variation, or I just kind of the way they did that first message, but with a specific,
Yeah, so you repeat that same process, you encode it, and send it, and after a few moments, basically the exact same Morse code type signal flashes back at you from the top of the structure.
Now, it's not repeating our message back to us, is it?
It is.
Okay.
Perhaps we should try asking it a question.
So just to, basically like encoding things in simple math structures, you can send patterns and stuff, but you don't have a common language that lets you ask questions or get information much yet.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna lean down to Glitch and say, try using.
What if we send it the message it sent us 5 years ago?
That's not a bad idea. I would assume we have that same signal stored or saved somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Send that back to them.
Okay. So you encode the signal, or basically pull it up from the database and archives and send it. And there is, if you're watching it, there's a auditory hiss and crackle across the auditory spectrum, and the lights, flashing sort of in time on the outside of the ship. And Eva, as that sort of hiss and static and crackle of the message sort of beams out, you can just feel this tingling sensation across your scalp. You can just feel this and tickling and sort of almost digging into your eardrums as it sort of pierces through. And I need you to roll, and now this is where I continue to get my Invisible Sun versus Cypher terms mixed up. I need you to roll a defense action. This is like an intellect defense action. I think it's resist.
I don't know what that means.
So you would have a skill listed if you're trained in it.
No.
Yeah. So all you can do at this point is you can spend intellect, right? The same as any other skill challenge. It's all the exact same mechanic.
Okay.
So if you'd like to spend a level of effort.
Yes, clarifying question though. Is this
Yes.
familiar?
Oh, yes. You've heard this
God.
before.
Yes, then. Yes, please. I'll spend. How much can I spend?
Until you increase your level of effort as one of the advances that you can do, you're limited to 1.
1. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Every
Yes,
time you
then I will.
increase that, the level of effort, it goes up.
Okay. Then yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. So you're going to reduce the challenge by 1.
Mm-hmm. I rolled a 6.
Okay. So you find yourself just sort of like locked in place. So your brain sort of just temporarily kind of dissociates from all of the sensation and control over your body, but your body doesn't collapse. It's still standing there. But you feel yourself almost like pulled away momentarily. And you just have this rush of sensation. And everything is dark. And then a single light sort of appears and turns on, kind of shining down around you. And you have this image of shadowy figures just flickering in and out of existence on the very edge of the light. So just on the edge of your perception. And the figures are all 6-limbed. You recognize these as the same fossilized remains have been found on Mars. So four limbs, strictly speaking, 6 limbs, but like 4, like 2 legs, 2 arms, and 2 sort of like wing-like structures, which is what had been hypothesized, but wasn't sure. Long, almost equine or dog-like head. And there's a sort of almost dark smoke sort of wreathing them and making their features very indistinct. And you feel like all of their attention is just drawn onto you. And their mouths all open as if they're going to say something. But before they do, your awareness just like snaps back into your own body.
Do we notice her going like stiff or anything?
Probably. I think the perception challenge would be low enough that most of you would presumably notice it. But it's a split second, so for you. For Eva, it feels like it's been like a minute. For everyone else, it's been like 2 seconds. And then the signal finishes sending. And there's a pause. And then the entire top of the... As my cat knocks everything over. The entire top of the structure illuminates in one solid color. And then fades back down to darkness.
I think that's an eerie egg version of hello.
Yeah, it definitely recognized that.
Dr. Delgado, are you feeling quite all right?
Looking at her, you would not assume that she is all right. She has begun to hyperventilate. And she kind of like, her legs kind of give out under her. And her knees buckle, and she just kind of like falls on the ground. And is just kind of like, her arms are like limp on her legs, and she's just kind of like looking down at her hands with just giant eyes.
I'll repeat it in Spanish.
I saw something.
Do tell.
Is there paper anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we've
Okay.
decided that even
We
though it's
like
2082,
We
people
really
like
like
paper.
paper.
Paper is important.
Yeah,
Paper's big deal.
yeah. But that totally fits the quasi Battlestar Galactica the protocols, because there's an assumption that the systems could maybe be vulnerable. So paper is good.
Okay. I want to just scrabble for paper and something to draw with, because I want to, as best as I can, put this before it. I don't think it'll ever leave my head, but before like it leaves my current brain space, I want to sketch out what I saw. Essentially, just like the as best I can, like the beam of light and these figures that were all around. And then I just like show it to everyone. Not say anything, not explain it, just show it to everyone.
Would I be familiar enough with her research to have maybe seen that, if it's public knowledge? Or
yeah, like the fact that people found alien like relics and fossils on Mars, like there's no way that could have ever been kept secret. Like that's public knowledge. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There are secrets that were not revealed, but the general gist of is known.
I will light up a cigarette.
Yeah, your smoke heater bot's just hovering off your shoulder.
I don't know what this is.
But it has something to do with that.
It was as soon as you played that message, so I assume so. Maybe it was their hello.
An attempt to communicate for sure.
And she just kind of like stares down at this picture while still like on the floor.
I am sure that we back on Earth have done all sorts of dissection of the initial message we got, like comparing it to all forms of language, mathematics, and such. Were we able to determine any sort of meaning in that initial message that we received?
Was I able to do any of that in my research?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we sort of assume that because there were some things discovered in terms of orthography and things like that in association with the Martians. There's been a little bit, but not much. This is like the level of understanding is like understanding of Egyptian hieroglyphics before the Rosetta Stone was discovered, which is pretty minimal, if non-existent. And whatever the message was presumed to have some sort of encryption done to it that just no one was ever able to break. Every time anybody tried, it was just gibberish.
Glitch. Are we able to send any kind of image? Can we create any kind of image with this?
We can break down an image into its sort of basic structure and send that, but we can't.
What if the image itself was pretty basic?
I mean, probably we can't attach an image file to an email and send them that. We can only sort of send the bare bones.
I want you to send an image back down that is of and you're gonna kind of like see Billy like look up as if she were, this is like a thing she does. She's always like trying to look at the stars, but they're everywhere right now. Send an image of, if you can, a long, vast stretch of darkness. A sort of light, maybe horizon in the distance. Don't overthink what I'm saying.
Not overthinking. I never do that. I will attempt to translate that into some sort of sendable code.
So now you do have, on the ship, you do have like automated factory capabilities, right? You've got 3D printers that actually do amazing things. So anytime if you want to like construct things or things that maybe don't by default exist on the ship, those are always options. And it's just a matter of time and how many resources it takes, but you have time. So if you wanted to like, you know, theoretically construct a giant floating space billboard, like that's possible. Even one that would be visible from the ground. It would just be a matter of how long it takes to build, but you could build it. Otherwise, yeah, you're pretty limited. You know, you're shining a laser down to blink off and on like Morse code.
Well, we can paint your picture.
Would it be easier if I gave you a different image that wasn't quite so expensive?
I guess I'm curious as to the goal of this, because depending on what the goal is will determine how much time and resources is needed and what the right way to send this across is.
Think of it like continuing this conversation with whatever that is down there, based on a hunch.
Or perhaps coordinates of where we've last seen them. Mars.
Coordinates are easy. Coordinates are numbers. That's simple. Pictures are hard. We can print the picture, make like a big picture, like stick it on the outside of the ship and they can look at it if they have eyes, but that's going to take a while.
Can you send them a symbol? It's probably still
It'd be the same restriction. You'd have to make something that could display it with sufficient size to be visible.
Wait, could we? I'm asking as. Oh, I guess I could ask. Would Billy know about this? Yeah, maybe. A really long time ago, people used to use like JavaScript. I don't know if we still use that now. But if you think of an XY axis, couldn't we draw a picture and send that code down
Just
to them?
coordinates? Absolutely, you could.
Like coordinates that draw a picture.
Yeah.
And send them.
Take me a little bit, but yeah, we can totally do that.
Then let's do that. But in an expanse, that would be hard to send. It would look weird. Send.
I have an idea. And I'm going. Kane is going to take out a diary from her book and just kind of open a page, and on it is a sketch of a symbol, and she's going to hand it over to Glitch and say, "Try showing them that."
I'm gonna try to lean to see what it is.
I am also.
Hard
Describe it for the auditory class.
The three doctors are like,
It's like the doctor to the Muppets theater balcony. Like, oh, I don't like that at all. It's a symbol. It's got a dot in the middle of it, a circle around it, another circle, and then it's kind of, it looks, Billy would know, it looks almost esoteric in nature.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I am
you're not
sensing
gonna be able
that.
to see that. Dot, circle, circle.
But
Sort of like the alchemical symbol for gold, but with an extra circle around it.
Yes, and also some lines.
oh, there's also lines. I was like, there is an occult symbol that looks like this, y'all.
Yeah,
Oh, it's-
yeah.
I see that there are lines, so I retract.
I'm making this up
Yeah.
on the fly. Don't worry about it. There could be no lines. There could be lines. I haven't thought about what this looks like too hard, even though I made it ages ago.
Then I will translate that image into coordinates and then send those
Okay.
over, which I assume probably takes a little bit. It's probably
Yeah, I don't think it's that complicated.
Okay.
Like, this seems like the kind of thing that's... I mean, essentially, this is what, JPEG code actually does, right? Is define a grid and values for all of the points on the grid. You're just reconstructing it from pure math because they probably can't read your file types. But I don't think it's that complicated. I don't think you need to roll. I think this is something well within your skill set to do. Are you also sending Dr. Flores' suggestion of the coordinates for Mars?
Yes, but I'll leave a considerable gap between the two messages, so it's obvious they're not the same thing. It's two
Okay.
thoughts.
Which one are you sending first?
I will send the symbol first and Mars second, unless
Okay.
I'm directed to do it differently. I'm just
Okay.
the messenger boy.
Sure. So you send the symbol, and after a few moments, lights reappear on the top of the structure where you've got your telescope trained on it, basically. And it repeats the symbol, so it lights up on the top in such a way that it reconfigures into the same symbol, and then morphs it through a series of similar symbols. So it starts doing variations where the lines connect differently, and it changes to a single outer circle instead of two, and then it does three, and it's doing all of these close variations on the symbol that you sent. And then it stops on the original again, and it goes through 9 variations altogether, including your original symbol.
Can I see the 9 variations?
Yeah, you see them when you're looking at it.
Okay, Kane jots down all those 9 variations and looks very, very disturbed.
Frank, make sure we get visual copies of all those, please.
Of course.
Thank you. Just in case there's discrepancies in the hurried jotting.
Yeah.
I'm hurriedly jotting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scribbling.
There's a
Doctors,
lot
doctors, and
happening.
doctors are
And
scribbling.
Marcus is like, I'm just going to use my resources.
Yeah. And so then you send the coordinates for
To Mars.
Mars. And again, visually by blinking, Maria, that's great.
Oh.
It sort of flashes back, and when you sort of run it through, a standard math, algorithm, it gave you the coordinate locations, assuming orbital mechanics. So you have to specify coordinates that are the orbit definition as opposed to a single time and space
Things
to
move.
define Mars. Yeah, because everything's moving. It gives you the orbital mechanics coordinates for Earth.
I send those coordinates back.
And it repeats them back to you. and then repeats a new set of coordinates.
Okay.
And when you repeat this new set of coordinates, or basically plug them in to be read, you get coordinates on the far side of the Milky Way galaxy.
So like opposite of where we are, or like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Fresh cigarette.
Right, so that's a multi-year trip.
Do we have any
Yeah,
knowledge of what's
that
out
would
there?
be like thousands of years, if not more, even with the super ship you have. Because at some point you're going to hit speed limits due to relativity and the speed of light. So, yeah, very long time. Millions of years, actually, probably.
Can I use my cartography background to estimate where it's pointing and everything?
Oh, I mean, it's like exact specified coordinates, so it would be a star system of some, like, we wouldn't have anything very well mapped. The star, presumably has a name, but it's just going to be some like string, like an alphanumeric name.
Is there any correlation between Earth, Mars, this egg, and those coordinates?
Is it a
Not
line?
Not on the face of it. It's just coordinates on the
Is it
other
a ley
side of the
line?
galaxy. No, it just because Earth and Mars would be like this close, and then this is here. Like it's not really at that scale 3 distinct points.
Glitch.
It's 2.
Yeah.
So, send, if you don't mind. We're just hawking at you. Send both Earth and Mars, and then a map description, like you did with the symbol of our solar system. So, like a big dot, and then 8 little dots. I keep forgetting about damn Pluto. And then send back the coordinate it sent. I'm curious if we can get a layout of their system.
Okay. I will send that.
Okay. So you sort of send a generic encoding of the solar system. Pluto is a dwarf planet. If we include that, he would also have to include about, a few hundred or dozens of other dwarf planets that exist in the solar system. So you encode it and send it. And there's a pause, and you get a series of coordinates that come back, describing, in this case, a system with 7 major coordinates specified.
Kane, do we have any documentation of anything on that side of the solar system that has 7 systems? Have we done any sort of...
No, you wouldn't have anything. You're still not much past the point of what we can do now, which is you get some transits of stars, and I think that's even further out.
I want to send one more thing, and it might get us in trouble, but I want to do it anyway. I want to send and I'm not sure if I've studied it enough to know this yet, but I want to try to send like the genome pattern, or sort of the chemical compound like equation for the nanites that we've encountered?
Okay. Yeah. So it's a good question. The nanites even use DNA, but they probably do because it's efficient, but it's different than Earth DNA. But in your studies, what you did discover that it was remarkably similar in content. Like differences, it's not all the same nucleotides, but there are more similarities there than you would have thought by chance. And yeah, I think you can come up with a way to encode that in some basic mathematical descriptions that would, even if it's simply encoding an image of like the type of diagrams you see in a textbook, right, for a chemical structure. And assuming they represent them in the same way, you could encode them that way. There might be a little bit more fundamental ways of encoding it, based on quantum chemistry and whatever else. We'll just say I think you can do that.
Actually, I want to send Earth's coordinates, our makeup, then the egg's coordinates, and the nanite makeup to see if it kind of understands where this from here is this from you.
Sure. And I think, like, at a basic level, you could basically just encode a, like for ours, you couldn't encode the whole genome without it being a massive data dump. Right? Like, trying to do it as images. Because I do that every day. That's hard. But you could do the whole, like, adenine, cytosine, tyrosine, guanine, like, the ACTG. Like, this is what makes us up, right? And some additional information. So it's not... You're not sending a template of the human genome, but it's a basic, like, this is what life on Earth is made of. Okay. So you send that plus the object's coordinates and the nanite DNA. And thinking, what would they send back? You get just... like the whole thing sort of flares to life, so like a solid color, similarly to it did after you played the message sequence from 5 years ago, and then it goes dark.
We've agreed that means yes. So, okay.
One last message. Just humor me, everyone. Send them the image of an inverted pyramid.
That's easy. That's Pythagorean. Inverted pyramid.
Yeah, you just encode it, make an image, load it in. And the light rises again, and it rises in like a solid sheet. And then a black circle appears in the middle and sort of slowly spreads out until the light is just a ring around the top of the structure with a dark hole in the middle. And it stays that way.
I think that's our entrance, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Did we really just need to send it shapes?
I really am going to encourage you to think differently about these shapes and their meaning.
Let's try.
Okay. This song, by the way, playing is called The Old Ones.
Oh no! Oh fuck.
So, does that mean it's probe time?
Yeah, I think we give him a handshake.
So it's
There's
not
Star
moving,
Trek
it's
reference.
staying like there's like a this is just here now. That's like Does it look like we can take the ship in through that?
Well, it still, like, under scans appears to still be a building. It's just that the outside edge at the top of it has remained illuminated and
Got
dark
it.
in the middle.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have shuttles?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is
Then-
what you would take down. This ship is
Kane-
not made to land.
Yeah.
Kane is gonna highly advise not taking the full ship down there.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll go get the shuttle ready.
No,
Perhaps
we should
send
probably
something
probe first.
Unmanned, yes.
Yeah.
Eh,
Unmanned.
Question for Frank.
Let's handshake before we, as Glitch said, make out with it.
I mean, in Star Trek, a handshake is a makeout because that's a sensor for them on there. You know what? Yeah, probe. Let's probe it.
I would like to ask Frank. Frank, is there still that radiation? That electromagnetic radiation coming from it?
Yes. Yeah, there appears to be a electromagnetic field here. In some ways, not unsimilar to what we expect to see on planets, although this structure is clearly artificial.
Is it similar to a? It's not like an EMP or something, is it? It's not going to shut down all of our computer systems when we pass through it, right?
No, I don't believe so. There potentially could be communication difficulties if it strengthens or changes, but right now it appears benign.
Probe would be.
Yeah, what
Good.
kind of probes do we got, Frank?
What kind would you like to make? Like, you literally
Yeah.
have like you have a factory on board.
Yeah.
You know,
What,
you give me some basic parameters and you got it, basically.
This is not my area of expertise. Marcus, like, steps back.
Yeah. Like, you could literally replicate like a nuclear device if you wanted to.
Well,
You're
let's
also
not-
operating at things of the scale where a nuclear device is not actually that big of a deal. So,
Let's not send them a nuke.
not yet. That's a third date kind of thing.
So we probably want something that can send us a visual readout of what it's seeing, but also has high functioning scanners to pick up radiation, chemical compounds, infrared, all that good stuff.
Yeah, pretty much all light spectrums.
You should make it look like a sphere.
That's easy to. Should I make it look like an egg? Would that be better?
That might be a little.
That
That
feels
pandering.
It's a
insulting.
little forward.
Make it
Okay.
a sphere.
Okay,
Sphere.
sphere.
As perfect as you can get it.
Absolutely.
Okay, little mini Death Star coming up.
All right. And you could basically have like a small fleet of them that like go out and
They-
map in like high resolution detail. And some of them have probably already been made, like the ship has had some on board already. A bay sort of opens up in the middle and they just like drop out of the ship, like falling, raining down. And proceed to do a high resolution, full spectrum map of the structure. And similarly to the object itself, the egg, that it's now being called, this tall tower structure appears to be made out of the same material. So it's this very high density metallic alloy of some sort. And while it is thick and dense, the structure itself appears to be hollow with some internal structure, but not really reminiscent of a building at all. Like, even though it's like a couple hundred meters tall, it doesn't appear to be divided into like floors or levels or anything. And there's no entrance. There doesn't appear to be any entrance. It's one continuous piece, but woven into this, woven and twisted into this labyrinthine type structure when you look at it from the top. and but that top platform area appears to have changed to like a flat, almost like a landing platform. And it's all one piece as opposed to being open. And the light still originates.
Listen, the instincts say nay, but the urge to fly thing says yay.
I have a feeling.
Go ahead.
No, Mr. Marcus, you go.
I was gonna say we should just we should apply extreme caution to the scenario. That's my only advice right now.
That is very, very good advice. I was going to suggest that we should just fly down there in a ship because it's probably not going to do anything else unless we're actually physically there because it seems interested in us, not our probes, which is the exact opposite of what you just suggested. So
perhaps we cautiously approach it in a ship.
We just got here. We can take some time and observe and document. I know not my area of expertise, but think caution here before we go entering a alien craft is advisable.
I'm inclined to agree with Marcus on this one. As excited as I think we all are on this one. And you can see Meztli is shaking a little, which is weird for her. Perhaps a day or two, and then we can consider more.
By the way, when Kane said she was going to prepare the shuttle, she's left. She's gone. She's just preparing the shuttle, so she's not around for this conversation.
we could wait. That I don't think would do any harm. I don't think this is a thing that we should be scared of, though. I don't know, I think maybe it's stuck. Got all the way to here and now it's been here for 5 years and maybe it just needs help.
Or it's a trap.
That seems like a lot of work for a trap.
Just a day or two, Glitch,
I
think.
You ever heard of trapdoor spiders? Dig a hole, make a lid. It's a lot of work, but it's what they're designed to do.
And it might be hungry.
All right, everyone. Welcome back as we return from break. While our intrepid band of explorers are debating about do we go to the mysterious glowing artifact now or later?
Artifact? Yes.
Frank says it's been here at least 5 years, so it's not like there's a rush.
It's almost an antique by this point.
And you all have been asleep for 2.
Yeah.
So that looks like a landing pad to me. I don't know about the rest of you.
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah.
Definitely, but
a day.
there's no rush. We should prepare.
Uh,
Get supplies together. Maybe some. We don't know what's gonna happen.
I'll
when we
want to
land.
expand my travel medical kit, I think.
I'm gonna pack some food and water.
maybe the doctors can look up more magical triangles to help open doors.
Yes,
Do
I'll
some
be sure
prep
to look
research.
some more up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go tell Kane we're waiting.
Billy's gonna like slowly turn and start walking.
Yeah, slow. Yep. A
You just
third
see-
cigarette.
I'm
You
gonna
just
go.
see Kane walk by with a bunch of guns and like weapons in her hand, like walking to the ship.
Nice.
Oh. I will skateboard after Kane. I won't jog.
Frank,
What
how
is
many
this?
shuttles do we have?
2. 1 for backup. In case of catastrophic failure, we could rebuild a shuttle, but it would take time.
Gotcha. Thanks,
Yeah,
Frank.
skateboarding to the shuttle might be difficult in this situation,
Gee.
because a large section of where you would have to go through is 0G.
I do a really cool thing where when we hit the 0G, I just like hold it and then like fly and then go back onto it when we get back to gravity. You can tell he's played around with this a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going after Billy. Or
I'm
rather, going with
also-
Billy.
I'm trailing behind them.
Yeah. So to put it in perspective, so you've got, this like rotating hub that has like spokes kind of attached to it with modules at the end, right? And that's rotating. And that's the only part that has any gravity at all. And it changes, like it's lower in the hub and more out on the modules that are rotating around. Going down through the middle of that is what I call the spine, which at one end has the giant engines and engineering section and storage and all of that. The rotating section is near the end opposite that, and a small little sort of observation area and things at the very end. I think one shuttle is is attached to that observation area, so it's at one end of the ship, and the other one is down at engineering. So the only thing that has any gravity at all now that you're not under thrust is this rotating section. Everything else, the entire rest of the ship is 0G. So getting back and forth to your supplies and all of that is through 0G. There's means of easing that travel to get through. There's like there's a ladder, but it can move. So it like rotates almost like a conveyor belt. So you can just grab it and get pulled from one end to the other of the ship. And you're all used to it. So you all can add to your sheets a skill in 0G and low G. And in the case of Marcus and Natasha, they're actually specialized because they're the sort of military security people, so they have a higher degree of training in 0G than everybody else.
Would this be under what?
Just under in your skills section, you can just add
Well,
it there.
right. Is it under anything specific like might, speed, intellect?
or
It would be speed, yeah.
Kill.
cool.
Cool.
I'm gonna catch up to Kane and the guns and the shuttle. We're not going now. Was decided we're gonna observe for a day or so before we head down. So you can load slower.
She just slowly starts loading the weapons on the rack in response with dead eye contact.
Exactly what I meant. Yep.
I know this thing has been here for 5 years or so, but we sent it a pretty big calling card. And I don't know whether it's going to stay dormant. I probably will. There's always a chance. So I'll just remain in the shuttle until we need to go. I'll come out for food and stuff, but you know.
And it kind of like opened the front door and like showed us the welcome pad. So I don't think it's going to come to us. Why make a landing pad if you were going to just,
But it also did beam into Dr. Delgado's brain.
Is that what happened? That was weird.
It was weird, wasn't it?
That's yeah, I don't know what to think about that. You're not gonna vent Delgado now, right?
Maybe.
Maybe Delgado's the half alien.
You're right. Then Marcus is safe.
Yeah, I got it wrong. Delgado's an alien and Marcus isn't. And
what? We can put this space detective thing we got going to rest now. We've solved the case. Delgado's a half alien, Marcus is fine, and you're safe with the one cute guy on ship.
Yeah. Cool. Not cool. I mean, weird, but I'm bored. I can't skate when we don't have gravity. Do you want to go play 0G tag?
Honestly? Yeah, I kind of do.
Okay, let's go. Let's go play 0G tag.
Last one does it first, and I push glitch and run.
you push glitch, which sends you ricochet in the opposite direction, and then propel yourself down the spine of the ship. Because there ain't no running. Well, I mean, you can put your mag boots on, I suppose, but then you're gonna move slower.
Where's the fun in that?
That's right. So yeah, I imagine the best place to play 0G tag is at like the engineering section, because there's all those like rooms and there's like stacks of equipment that are all like in the Expanse, like the crates have mag locks on them, so they magnetically lock to the walls and ceiling and deck. So it's like that. So that would be the place to play for sure.
I will, as we're headed there, send a message to Mr. Marcus that just says, emergency in engineering, need your assistance right away. It's very serious. Come very quickly. Okay,
what's ironic is Marcus is already at engineering, getting supplies and stuff out. Just like looks at the message and just shakes his head.
It's just see like Kane barreling down this corridor in 0G and just lands in the air engineering deck and goes, hi. So, you helped me with the sparring and the stress relief earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Glitch has come up with this idea that propelling yourself around in 0G may help blood flow to the brain and increase how the de-stress and the detoxing. So we thought the three of us should probably do that, just to help us de-stress.
I'm not really stressed, but thanks for the offer.
Great. So you're a part of this now because we need 3. I'm gonna attack him. And I'm gonna yell, "Glitch, he's in, go!"
I'll just like speed across. Haha, you're it.
Marcus just like observes this for a bit as you guys go barreling off, goes back to what he's doing, like unlocking this like case of equipment, and just floats off down the hallway.
Does Marcus say I'm too old for this shit?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's a mumbling under the breath.
I want to try to pull Billy elsewhere. I don't know where they're going, but I want to take them into someplace private.
Billy was just going back to her room.
Oh, cool.
I'm
will
gonna
get us there
no.
faster.
I'm gonna follow them. Welcome or not.
I'll like start to step into my room and like see you and be like, step into my office.
I go in.
I do as well.
Oh, welcome. Doctor.
All right.
Doctor.
Well,
I assume you two needed to. What are we doing right now?
Well, as much as I enjoy your company, Dr. Mestily, please tell me if I got that right.
it was mostly right, yeah.
Okay, I'll work on it. As much as I appreciate your company, I do want to have a private conversation with Billy.
All right. Hard smile. And just kind of, Dr. Lawless, I'll catch up with you later. I suppose we can compare notes and just kind of leave.
And I will just like awkwardly stand there like,
I'm going to go close the door. If there is a way to close the door.
I assume they're automatic.
I'm eavesdropping as best I can.
Oh, well, cool. Eva's going to turn towards Billy. And Billy can see that there's like this strange kind of like look of fear in her eyes. Fear mixed with intense curiosity. And she pulls, I assume she has her journal with her always, but if not, she's gonna take the journal entry from the morning of the incident. And she's going to show it to Billy. And essentially it's a super, super normal journal entry about like being excited to start on a new project and, you know, we're making headway and all that cool stuff, specifically referring to the Martian sites. And she's going to say, I don't remember what happened. there was this emergency broadcast, okay, at the site. And then I don't remember anything. And I don't remember how long I was in the hospital. I don't know what happened. I just know that I was the only one to make it from that site. And what happened tonight? That happened, I think, before. And I don't know what this means. Your instincts seem to be a bit more relevant at this point. I mean, you had the ideas with the symbols and everything.
You'll see that Billy was looking pretty carefully at you as you were saying this, and then when you got to that last bit, her face totally like softened. Ava, I would guess that all of our instincts up here aren't going to be great. This is not a place that any of us are familiar with. This is not the way that we're used to communicating. And we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I think what we need to do is prepare ourselves for a lot of unknowns and a lot of variables. I think that as humans, we are used to walking in to a place that we don't know and expecting to dissect it and understand it based on our sole understanding of the universe and life. And that will prove not useful up here. And so whatever connections you have to that thing that's out there, I wouldn't necessarily assume that you're walking into what you walked into previously. I would make no assumptions at all. And that's really scary. Whether you are a scientist or not. But I would not think that you're walking into the same place.
I don't want to feel that helpless. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. What if something like that happens again? What if something worse happens?
And what if it doesn't?
Well, then I guess we get to go on a grand adventure now, don't we? Have a whole lot of fun out here in space.
I think that I think that we have to walk into this with the idea that we don't know anything. And I know that none of us wants to do that. And I know that you're looking for solace right now. And I'm just as scared as you are. And this is my element. But we are on a mission to explore something terrifying. So we have to be a bit fearless about this. And she's going to sort of just sit down for a moment as the weight of everything is sort of just sitting in this room right now. And she's just going to kind of like look at her hands. And then she's going to look up at you. And she's going to roll her sleeves up just a little bit. And you're going to see that her arms are completely covered in symbols and runes, some that you may recognize and some that you have never seen before. I literally study this. I have been studying this for years. I have been in places where this is almost normal, and I'm terrified. But we have to do this, and we're going to do it together. Because if we don't do it together, we won't make it out of here. We won't make it anywhere. And I know that we can do this. And we've all been through some pretty terrible shit, or else we wouldn't be out here in the middle of nowhere on a dangerous mission. We agreed to do this because we wanted to leave where we were. So let's walk forward into it. And she will like hold her hand out to take yours. Not necessarily expecting that you will take it.
I think there's a long pause as she's staring at your hand, and then it kind of moves up to all these symbols on your arm, and then the gaze kind of flickers up to your face and then back down, and she'll very slowly make her way closer to you and take your hand in both of hers and grip it very, very tightly. But she'll just kind of nod a couple of times. And then she'll eventually release your hand from the vice grip that she had it in. Space is not what I thought it would be.
And that's okay.
I feel kind of bad making... No. I feel annoyed that our good dear friend Doctor came with us, but I feel like she wanted to talk. So...
She is the ship's psychologist, so...
I haven't had great luck with past psychiatrists, so forgive me for being a bit wary.
I mean, I think she'll sort of like sigh and hold her head. we have a bunch of guarded alphas in a ship in the middle of a sea of emptiness, save for one alien planet thing. I'm not sure how that's going to work great for us, but at some point we probably all should talk, like actually talk rather than like the talking. Talking about, talking like this, which I think is hard for all of us. So.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to like lean over and like wave my arm, fully expecting it to open and Metzli to be like, oh.
You see no one.
Ah, damn. Wanted her to be there.
I'm gonna go over and I'm just gonna peek my head out and look to see if she is there.
Nobody.
That's surprising.
Dan, you're muted.
Yeah, thanks. I do my muting on OBS so the people on Zoom can still hear me when I forget. So we assume that like a few days probably pass while you all get your supplies ready and observe and wait and watch. And pretty much anything you could possibly want to take with you for gear is available, so you don't have to stress about it too much, and the shuttle probably has a lot of room for supplies. So we assume that a few days pass, and there is no change. The top of this tower structure remains glowing in this circular, almost portal-like design around what appears to be a landing pad, a clear and open invitation. So the question is, do you all decide to descend below?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
After preparation and observation, yes.
So Kane
Alright.
took the shuttle down there 2 days ago.
Kane's gone. Good thing we have the backup shuttle.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So you've got, environment suits, basically space suits to wear. There's options for armored for those who might, which would probably realistically only be potentially Marcus or Natasha, but I think Marcus doesn't wear armor.
No, he actually, that's one of his things, is I don't need armor. So
Yeah.
I got a +1 for not wearing it.
That's right. And I forget if Natasha has...
I do not. I have a leather jacket, which gives me +1 armor.
Right. Yeah, so your skill, that's your light armor is a leather jacket with maybe some reinforcement in there.
Listen,
somehow,
it was
but-
in the cipher book. It said leather jacket,
Yeah.
light armor.
Yep, exactly. You have the skill in light armor, like you're able to wear light armor.
I don't think so. I think I got a penalty for it.
Yeah,
Oh.
there's a penalty to effort spent from speed.
Armor
when
speed
you're
cost
wearing
is
armor.
1.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's basically just 1 point added on to speed when you're spending any speed effort.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. And so everyone straps in 0G in your crash couches full of supplies to descend.
Now, everyone, I'm sure we're all feeling a bit tense. As long as we stick together, no matter what we find here, I think we'll be okay. Would anyone like to say anything? Talk about perhaps Any anxieties?
I'll go ahead and say that I'm scared.
And that's extremely valid, Billy. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes without saying that I would probably say all of us are a little bit nervous. This is not exactly what Frank would call protocol.
You are absolutely right. And I would be lying if I said I'm not a little frightened as well. It's a very natural human reaction to unknown things like this. Yep. Protocol's pretty much out the window, I think. Sorry, Marcus.
There's protocols for that. Don't worry.
I figured. I only got half the training and half the time, but I do remember most of it. That was a joke. I do tell jokes.
Was it a joke though?
Of course it was. You were there. I have packed as much medical supplies as I could possibly imagine us having, so we should be dressed to the nines. Yeah. I have a question for the DM, actually.
Yes.
Side note. If I listened to the recording over and over and over again, could I use Babel to understand a little of it?
Maybe I'll have to take a look at it.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
It's fundamentally alien, so you don't really have any point of reference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the Babel description here again, but yeah.
Cool. So everyone, let's explore the unknown together, shall we?
All right. So, Natasha, you're gonna pilot the ship down.
Hell yeah, I am! I mean, what? I'm not excited. Listen, all I want to do is be space pilot in real life. It's as close as it's coming.
All right.
This is real life. What are you talking about? I'm in space.
We're in space.
We're in space.
All right. So you get everyone loaded in the ship. Everyone's stowed, and it detaches from the Erebus. What is the... Do you give the shuttle a name? Otherwise it's like Shuttle 1 and Shuttle 2. Or Erebus 1 and Erebus 2.
I name the shuttle Clotho.
Okay. Alright.
Could you spell that for the class for interested parties and no other reason?
It's C-L-O-T-H-O.
But I thought I just wanted to be sure.
She's one of the 3 sisters of fate in Greek mythology.
Ah!
The youngest one.
Responsible for spinning the thread of human life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, at least I didn't choose the one that cuts human life.
That is a good choice. A good choice. I approve.
Excellent. Yes, sorry, Quinn, I did just check Babel, and it's an encoded thing, so
Okay.
yeah. If it was just a language, it would totally work and you could spend it, but where it's encoded, you're not hearing a language, you're hearing gibberish math noises.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Question:
alright.
Do we have a little
Yes.
pocket Frank with us?
Well, I mean, so Frank could go if you wanted. Like,
Yes,
Frank
pocket
is,
Frank.
But I have a
Frank
question.
Frank is an android, basically.
Yes, but.
Yes.
So there's this game called Observation, which I mentioned during our break.
Yes.
In this, you play as an AI who can be part of the space station or transport itself into a little sphere and float around with you.
Yes.
Can also Frank do that?
He could fork a copy of himself. So there's two things. There's the captain, right, which is a big, super powerful AI, but it's kept sequestered. Oh wow.
Sorry.
This is so sinister.
That music drop just.
No, I put us on the exciting playlist, and
It's very exciting.
It's a big mix. Yeah, so there's that, and then there's Frank, and Frank is his own AI, and so technically he's the executive officer. And yes, if you wanted him to remain on the ship, he can basically just make a copy of his program, which is a more contained. It's roughly the equivalent of a person. It's not a super smart AI, it's as smart as a smart human. So yeah, he could fork a copy and in a little spherical floating drone.
Yes.
That could go with you.
Yes. A talking sphere.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's Frank I.
Frankie.
It looks like it.
Frankie.
So Frankie. Yeah.
Yes.
Frank I.
Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie with a very bizarre accent. Frank eye. Because it looks like a giant floating eye, basically. And yeah, he's happy to send that along to keep an eye on you.
Oh.
All right. So, when you're all set, the shuttle begins its descent. And the alarms start going off as the electromagnetic storm intensifies as the ship descends through what passes for this electromagnetic field around the object, and the ship is being physically buffeted as if it's going through turbulence, but it's all due to this electromagnetic radiation that sort of intensifies as the ship is going down. So, Natasha, Longshot Kane, what would be a pretty easy descent. I mean, you're shooting for a bullseye that's pretty big and plain. You could do it in your sleep. But the ship is bucking and swaying all over the place. So, I'm going to need you to make a piloting check, please.
I mean, yes, sure thing. Can do.
So this is just to see how long it takes to get down as opposed to anything else. You're not in danger. But yeah.
I got a 19.
You got a 19. All right, perfect. So yes, with all your skills added and without even spending any effort, you're just one hand on the stick, driving it down. Yeah.
I say, when Natasha, before you drive, she has a dog tags around her neck, but also a silver shard, and she clutches both of those and says something, and then goes into full pilot mode. She is fully in her element, and the turbulence doesn't bother her. She is just fully in that moment. People could be speaking to her, and she has no idea.
All right. So yeah, it's a matter of navigation in this case, as opposed to any sort of danger. But you manage to find those currents. You've got the sensors sweet up. You can see those electromagnetic currents. You're slipping through every little crack that appears in the turbulence around you to arrow sort of knife-like directly towards this landing pad. There's a flare of the thrusters as it just kisses down on the landing pad and lands. And as it does, So it lands, and some semblance of gravity returns. It's very, very light. It's probably like 1/16 Earth gravity or something, because this object isn't super big. And there's filtering in from the outside light from this rim sort of structure around the landing pad. And then there is an audible, like, grinding noise from outside as the pad begins to descend downwards. The light receding up above you as it is descending down this tube. Rib-like structures sort of appear around the outside of this tube as you're sliding down, glimmering with a faint blue light, just pinpricks of light descending. A sort of a raised structure, almost like a trachea, as you're descending. And then, based on your sensor readings, you must be descending into the structure itself, like into the interior of the egg, until it comes to rest, and faint light illuminates as the ship sits cradled in some underground docking hangar of some sort. And the sensors that sort of feed you information from the outside reveal a structure, large and pyramidal. You're sitting on top of this, like, very flat, inverted pyramid as the point descends towards the interior of the space. And as you come to rest at the top of the inverted pyramid, inside the egg, on the edge of the solar system, that is where we're going to end for the night.
Dan friggin' Gaston! Shit!
Yes.
So,
Oh, no.
that song, "The Green Grass Goes All Around and Around."
Yeah.
I was
Man.
Dan describing as we're getting further and further out of the system was like that song, but space horror.
But spooky and in
God.
space.
Just
The-
the moment I loved was the three doctors so excited, and then us three like, oh, we're gonna die.
And we're like,
This is like,
yes.
it's basically a throat. We've basically thrown down its throat. It's fine.
Yeah.
Belly of the beast.
Yeah, the perfect music that would have played there as you landed and started going down would have been All Along the Watchtower.
Oh, God.
We don't have the money for those rights.
But go listen to it. It's great.
But go listen to it. Go listen to the Battlestar Galactica version by Bear McCreary with the sitar, because it's awesome. All right, so we'll go around. We'll do our sign off. So everyone, you can we'll start with your favorite moment and advancements on your character arcs. Everyone can mark 2 XP because, again, another major discovery is you've arrived at your destination and unlocked it to go inside. Actually, everyone should mark 4 XP because you had 2 XP for discovery in terms of, like, unlocking the structure, like communicating with it. And then 2 XP for actually entering it and sort of discovering it that way. So 4 XP. All right. So let's do the reverse order for our sign-outs. So we'll actually start with Anders. So your favorite moment, and then we'll get into your character arc, and then you can promote anything you would like to promote.
Okay. My favorite moment was Emma's sort of explanation on like humanity and what not to expect and how it was timed with the music when she was talking to Delgado, and it was a lot and it was really good. That was my favorite moment for sure. Yeah
Okay.
it was a lot. It was good though.
All right, so what about Glitch's character arcs?
I don't think he advanced either of them because
Okay.
it's mysterious background, no. Growth, no, I don't think so.
Okay. No, that's fair. And not everyone's arc will necessarily advance every session. One reason why we had 2 is to maximize the probability that that will happen. But it won't always, so that's okay. All right, and do you have anything to shout out, Anders? I know you've had a lot of cool stuff in the last little bit.
I'm never prepared for outros. Oh my goodness. Monday, Grimfim's Emma as DM is a thing, and you should go check that out. I'll let Emma talk about it more. Tuesday, Velvet Soiree with Quinn as the GM. Also here in VR, and I'll let Quinn talk about it. Those are things coming up that you can see me in. And I write games. AndersDK.h.io. I have games that you should look at, and they're free. You pay what you want, so you can just download them if you want them, and so you should do that. That's it.
The games. Buy all the games. They're really good. Give Anders your money.
It's fine.
I like Maria's ASMR there. Excellent. Perfect. I also agree. Go buy those games. They're fantastic. All right. So, Val, what about you? Your favorite moment?
It was. I have a 3-way tie because I can't make decisions about one thing. It was Ava's getting the message beamed into her brain. Emma doing everything Billy because Billy is a delight. And getting to fly something, which is the selfish one, but I was really excited to fly something. I was like, yes, shuttle time. But also, yeah, it was just the music that timed really well with all those moments. And I was very much into the scene. I was like, oh yeah, we're playing a game. I'm not just watching like a TV show.
Well, the more this feels like a TV show, I mean, that's what we're going for here. So,
Listen, when I plugged this at the end of Courts of the Shadow Fae, I was like, we have an opening! My voice went so high there, but yeah.
All right, perfect. What about Natasha's character arcs? Did we make any?
I did. I made progress with my mysterious background with these symbols.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I'm excited to see how that will play out. But yeah, promoting that and having it tie in. I will draw out what those other symbols were and provide them in the chat.
Kane has many questions.
Yeah, it'll take me a few days, but
to
get around to it. But yes, I'll provide those. Excellent. Okay, so that's 2 XP for making a step on your arc.
Yay! I don't know if I've settled on growth and transformation for my second one, unless 0G space tag accounts. I think like the angle I'm going for is she's never had enough time to figure out who she is as a person, so this is her figuring out who she actually is and what her personality is.
I can see that, like throwing yourself into playing some games and some like abandon, making friends. That all sounds worthy of that arc to me. So that would be another 2 XP.
Yeah. When do we level up?
I don't know. Yeah, so we talked about it a bit the other day, but there's a page reference. It's not like a straight leveling thing. You spend your experience on certain things, and those are all incremental advances. And we have so many incremental advances, you also advance a tier. Excellent. So you definitely have enough XP to advance a few things. To like buy some of your incremental advances.
Schemes.
Yes. So yeah, we'll talk about that. All right. And anything to promo, Val?
There is Courts of the Shadow Fae on Friday at 5 p.m. It got oddly emotional for my character. We're about to make contacts in the court, and it's going to go horribly because we have no standing in there. Then on Monday, there's Grim Femmes with Emma, who's running it, and then we have other things, but my brain's gone blank. We have this on Thursdays. We have this. We have thing. I have things. I'm leaving now. Goodbye.
That's great. Okay, Emma.
Oh, sorry, couldn't unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Okay, so I'm MK Hansen on Twitter. That's the thing. Wait, we're doing outros. All right. Okay, favorite moment. Let's start there. Gods, Dan, that ending when we were landing with the music, that was fucking beautiful. That was my favorite moment. That was so good. Shit. And then to hear it was into an inverted pyramid, I was like, I can't. I almost just flipped the whole damn table. It was like, this is it. This is it, y'all. That was so good. Okay. Character advancements. I think I keep like I'm like planting seeds before I get there right now. I feel like I have not. I don't think maybe I feel like it's all like bits and pieces of what I want, which is, I believe, uncover a secret and growth, and I don't have it up in front of me right now.
I've got it. Like, so the thing to keep in mind with character arcs is you don't really need to think about it in terms of like significant progress in, say, like a D&D milestone leveling type thing.
Okay.
All of these are small incremental steps. So small incremental steps that make any sort of progress on your arc are typically worthy of getting the XP from them.
Well, then I don't know about if uncovering a secret. There might be some bits and pieces there between the conversation with Ava and then discovering that the inverted pyramid meant something here.
Yeah. I think so. I think this is all tied to your uncovering a secret.
Okay. So does that mean I get XP for that?
So you get 2 XP for that.
Excite. Awesome. Okay.
Isn't your other one just explore?
Yeah.
And it's explore this, like your job?
No, well, specifically, I mean, I'm comfortable just sharing. Specifically, what the exploration is that it's really that I want to, by that, what I mean specifically is that I want to ensure that I engage with the things that we are exploring, that we're not just there looking at them, but like that I'm actually like putting myself in those positions to be there.
Okay.
You do the touch.
Yeah.
I mean,
but not just touching, but like, I guess communicating tonight then.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you've advanced that one as well, because you were feeding in information that triggered some stuff, so.
Okay.
So that sounds like 2 there as well.
Shit, y'all. Awesome. Cool.
All right.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so for things to promote, as you all know, this was a challenging week for me. So I actually am reducing the number of things that I have to promote right now because I said I can't do all of this. So I pulled out of a lot of stuff. So I only have this, and I have the Grim Femmes premiere on Monday. And I'm very excited about that. Quinn is in it. Well, everyone except for Taryn and Dan are in it in this stream. That premieres Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be exploring personal trauma and pain using storytelling. So please join us for that. It's going to be really, really good and fun. And the characters are so wonderful. I'm so excited for this. And then Tuesdays is Dragon Heisters, 10:30 over on Dice Priori. And that's it.
Perfect. Excellent. All right.
Oh, and we do have, it is October. There is the Invisible Sun one shot on Halloween. Yes. And I've made the decision to run it for this group since it's the same time.
Perfect. Yes. So you heard it here first. October 31st, Halloween night. Emmett is going to run us through some spoopy Invisible Sun themed fun.
And that's it.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Quinn.
Favorite moment, Void Howdy. Probably the Eva Billy conversation for sure, and or at least what Mez heard of it or didn't hear of it. Who knows? There are other things. Arcs. Defeat a foe is the first one, and Dan, I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about that before this session.
Yes.
Because foe to Meztli means lots of things. I think so. For her foes back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know the things. And then, oh my god, what is my other one? I should know that. Transformation is like a maybe to me. Because I don't want to give away too much about the transformation. Have we talked about transformation?
I don't think we have, so we might need to
Okay.
talk about that offline.
Let's talk
and,
about that one.
and see. Yeah,
That
because
one's,
I mean,
yeah.
all of these, I generally take your word for it, and if you're leaning towards not advancing, I'm usually pushing you towards taking something. I don't see the obvious one for this yet, but that's just because we haven't talked about it in as much detail. But the defeat a foe for sure, so mark down the 2 XP for that, and then we'll talk about transformation.
Yeah, that one's a whole thing, y'all. Void Howdy. What's the other thing I do? Plugs. Yes, good. Here, I am starting to live here. That's a thing.
That's what happens.
My brain is no longer functioning. Quinn.exe is failed.
Grimfem's soiree.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Grimfem's is on Monday. I'm happy to be in that, playing a very different character. So different. Tuesday nights, I am DMing a Velvet Soiree, which is about secrets and lies, but different secrets and lies of the earthly variety. Aristocracy. Bullshit. I'm in this. I stream the video games and other things like solo TTRPGs on my personal channel, which is quintastic. What else? Oh, I released my first game today. I have no concept of time. But it's on my itch.io page as well. It's quintastic.itch.io. It's called Caustic Jerk. It's a dark, weird one about dreams and being asleep and possibly betraying people. It's a thing.
On brand.
That's me. And I just wanted to slide in there and say I am really thankful to be in a group like this where I can play sort of the weird, vaguely menacing outsider character and have that like hostility, but be able to separate it and know that it's like not y'all. So that's fun.
Yeah, I do too, because like so many of my favorite shows have that character, right? Like Dr. Rush in Stargate Universe, like, things like that, like the doctor who might experiment on his crew member, like on their crew members. Who knows? And like that's why consent's so important. It's why we talk behind the scenes about like, players agreeing and having that agency. And it's good because it lets you have those kind of characters that are very enthralling and provide that tension.
I'm totally benign. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No problems here. Excellent. All right, Maria.
Hello. Favorite moments. Well, a selfish one, being sucked into my own brain space or thrust elsewhere was cool, but not at the same time. But also that last, like, descending down into the depths of the belly of the beast and whatnot was also very, very good. Oh, no. Hang on. Hold up. But I meant to say this in chat and or on our break, and I couldn't we figured out a lot of stuff with our brain cells, you guys, like using our noggins. And I felt really proud of all of us. I just want to throw that out there. Which is really great. This is great. As far as character arcs, I don't know if that experience leans into uncovering a secret, because it's specifically, as I shared with Billy, the secret of what the fuck happened to my brain or my memories, or, you know, in relation to this organization and these aliens and like all that stuff. So I don't know if that leans into it. It definitely, if it's, the only reason I would say yes is if, you know, the sensation was familiar enough that I started being like, is this what happened? And I start questioning, like, is this what happened last time? And I just don't remember it. So
definitely it feeling like familiar, or at least related, if not familiar, was the intent.
Okay.
So I think that does count towards progressing that arc. That was certainly the intent of that.
Yay.
Also, because you gave me a free intrusion, which I had in my back pocket. So then it was like, oh,
it was so well.
You guys decided to send the signal that was detected when the incident happened and lots of people died. Excellent.
Except for me, you know, that time. Wow. And then recovering from trauma / defeating inner demons / stuff like that. I think a bit, especially during that talk with Billy, and also in side scenes, like, boy, howdy. The support, that was weird, but also great. Which I can just copy you into those side scenes because they're really good. But I think that it's definitely started her on the process of like realizing she doesn't have to try to be perfect, or not be perfect, but realizing she doesn't have to keep beating herself down for things, and that it's okay, and that there are people who actually like we know each other pretty well, but that, like, you know, outside forces that are like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm here, I think is helping her start to like process a little bit everything that's kind of happened back there.
Perfect. I love it. Excellent. Do you have anything to shout out?
Boy howdy. I mean, void howdy. We're in space.
That's right.
Grim Femmes is on Monday. It's gonna be real good. This show, which is now and forever, is great. Also on Sunday, which I'm sure Taryn will promote, Urban Shadows starts in 3 days. It's going to be great. I'm totally prepared. I'm sure Taryn is also as well. And then besides Beyond VR, Goblin Society Games is a brand / website that I am working with my husband James to make this giant compendium of magical items homebrewed for 5e D&D. That is, we're on Twitter at Society Goblins. There's a bunch of stuff that's already posted. We have a ton more that is going to be posted, as well as some other extra goodies that we're hoping to get done in the new year, starting in the new year. So follow the list now for all the good things, and then all the new things in the future.
Excellent. All right. I love it. Okay, Taryn.
All right. I'll try to run us up real quick here. Find me at Twitter at Tarzan Nosy. Favorite moment. I'm not usually a puzzle player or character. That's not normally something I involve with a lot when I make PCs and play tabletop role-playing games. It's just not something that usually engages me. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with us sitting there and solving and kind of sitting back and letting the brains, but also poking a little bit. And I just really enjoyed working together as a group and brain power and poking at it until something clicked. It was really satisfying. Character arcs, defend the mission. I think pushing for a cautious approach, definitely. And then romance / friendship. I think not actually yelling at Kane and Glitch for playing 0G tag. Even though I didn't join in, I didn't yell at you guys, which is a big step for Marcus.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
I
he
buy
would
that for those
definitely
two. Yeah.
normally, like before even the last couple of weeks, like he would have a much different approach to breaking protocol so badly. Like,
Yeah.
just like there's so many things that could go wrong with that. So, but
Yeah.
and then yeah, things to promote. This, I'm actually my schedule is kind of wound down a little bit, which is honestly pretty nice. We had a bunch of finales at the beginning of this week, but this and then Sunday, join us 7 p.m., 6 p.m. Central for Urban Shadows Juno Darkness Beckons as we return with season 2 with a wonderful cast and pick up a couple of weeks later and see where our interesting group of PCs, let's see what kind of business they can get up to now. So
I want to know what the ridiculous number of entanglements are for some of those characters or whatever they're called.
Listen.
The threads.
debts.
The debts?
The
The
debts
Listen,
between
if
each
we
other.
carry over the debts that we had last time, I
No,
still
debts-
have
it's
I
still
still
your
have
player
like
character.
8.
Yeah,
So
debts are still very much in
don't worry-
play.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, join us Sunday as we kick off with that, and we'll recap everything then. I still have to write
Perfect.
that. Okay.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Yeah, for me, you can find me here and on the interwebs at Matt's IDM. Really, my main things right now are this and Invisible Sun on Saturday nights. There won't be anything this Saturday because I may or may not be out of town for Canadian Thanksgiving. And we will be back, I think the third week of November is what we finally settled on for the premiere of season 2 of As the Suns Burn. But in the intervening weeks, there will still be some Invisible Sun one-shots and things like that happening to advance those stories. Otherwise, tune in here on Thursdays and check it out. So I think that's it for me.
Dan, what was your favorite part?
Oh, well, sometimes that, I feel like it's playing favorites. Let's see. I think that whole conversation between Billy and Eva was great because it was so it was just one of those nice emotional sort of moments, a lot of character vulnerability, and it was like a slow simmer. I got to just sit back and relax and enjoy it and not think about what I was going to do next really at all. So I think that for me was my favorite moment. All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday. Bye everybody.